Hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to our Friday webinar. It's already December, and we're really moving into these holiday times and a lot of things that we can do to help our health. And today we're going to talk about some things that are so prevalent in our society. Right, Dr. Chris? Good morning.
Absolutely. Good morning, Dr. Tina, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is a great topic because it really helps us understand the full dimension of fortification and nutrition and diet. So let's dive in and learn about the essential fatty acids that we need.
Right. And today we're going to talk about telomega. And this is our Antarctic krill oil. And it's really known for its significant components, naturally significant components. The long chain omega fatty acids, the EPA and DHA, the phospholipids, and the choline has become widely researched as a supplement, and it aids in bridging some of these nutritional deficiencies, Dr. Chris, and all of these challenges like heart disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, they can all be reversed with dietary changes and adding in the telomega, because these essential components play very crucial roles in maintaining our cellular organization, our function, fostering our overall health, and ensuring optimal performance of both the heart and liver. So let's take a look at krill. People ask, is it a fish? It's actually a crustacean. Glows in the dark. It lives up to 10 years. And look at this. It's twice the size of human biomass on the planet. It is so abundant. So abundant. This is what the whales feed off of in the Antarctic. I thought this was interesting that they're visible from space because they're so prevalent and they glow in the dark. So they cover 11% of the Earth's oceans. So when we look at the availability, we look at the size of the crustacean being like the size of a paperclip. What's great about this is the smaller the species, the less toxic they are in the oceans as well. So this makes for a perfect way to be able to have our telomega. And it's so different. And we're going to talk a little bit about how it's very, very different from fish oil as well. Dr. Chris?
Yeah, you make a really good point. It's lowest on the food chain, so it's so much cleaner than any other sources of essential fatty acids. And the other thing is that uh, the source that we have for our krill, they really work with the scientific community to both understand, the technology that the oil brings, as well as to maintain the sustainability. Even though it's so abundant, it is being discovered, and more cultures are starting to go to krill oil. And again, Dr. Tina, we're ahead of the curve, right?
Yes, we are. We are. And when you start to see later in this presentation why, hopefully you'll make that switch if you haven't already from fish oil over to our telomega.
One of the key components we constantly emphasize is the availability of the omega-3 fatty acids in the phospholipid form. And so phospholipids help to optimize the transport, the delivery, and the integration of the omega-3s. So to get this key nutrient that we have to have that we don't make, and it has to be supplemented or obtained in our diet, the phospholipid form supports that integration, and it puts it directly into our cells and organs, such as the brain and the heart and the liver that we're talking about today. So the you're going to hear us repeat throughout this presentation that the importance of these long chain fatty acids, and This supplemental form aids in nutritional deficiencies, maintaining cell organization and function, and just fosters the overall good health of the organs we're going to talk about today, the heart and the liver. Dr. Tina.
Exactly. And, with the phospholipids, it does so much. And it even, like you talked about, having the essential fatty acids, those healthy omega-3s, it can increase those omega-3s from 4 to 8% in the bloodstream. So it's very critical when you're talking about those diseases.
And here we show a cross section of a cell and the importance of the phospholipid form, because the surface layer of every cell and usually the surface layer of the structures in the body are phospholipid. And so therefore, you see the importance, the integrity of our body and its structures rely on these phospholipids in order to maintain the healthy barriers. And when you lose that, requirement for the need for these essential fatty acids in the form that we provide them, you get the cell structure becomes to harden, and it needs to be flexible. It needs to be pliable in order to flow through the body, get through the capillaries, and to just maintain the integrity of the cardiovascular system. So you see how important it is for just overall health and well-being.
Not only that, it's for the receptor sites, we have to be able to have that soft, pliable layer in order for our receptor sites to those antenna to receive signal molecules and just the overall, like you said, health of the cell. Should we go ahead and take a look at the video of 텔로메가?
That's a great presentation here.
텔로유스 크릴 오일은 오메가3, 콜린 및 강력한 인지질을 함유해 그 효능은 전신 건강으로 나타납니다. 사람의 몸은 수조개의 세포로 구성되어 있으며 인지질 이중층이라 불리는 막이 각 세포를 보호해 조직이 형성되고 영양소 흡수율을 높이며 에너지 생산 및 무수한 생체 기능이 가능합니다. 생명의 기초가 형성되는 것이죠. 크릴 오일이 주목을 받는 것은 풍부한 자연산 인지질을 함유해서입니다. 텔로유스 크릴 오일 인지질은 세포의 이중층에 오메가3와 콜린을 직접 공급, 전달 및 통합합니다. 이것이 크릴 오일 인지질의 효능입니다. 심장, 간, 근육, 심지어 피부를 포함하여 신체의 모든 세포와 장기에 유익합니다. 텔로유스 크릴 오일로 얻는 건강한 세포, 건강한 몸.
Now, interestingly enough, we're starting to hear quite a bit about this new phenomenon that's happening, and it's non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, known as NAFLD. And this is a condition that is really a modern lifestyle disease. And it's so prevalent today that there's a global prevalence of 24% of the population. And it's caused by lack of exercise, lack of sleep, a very imbalanced diets that are high in sugar and fats. And what also contributes to this is a very stressful environment, whether you can't handle the stress anymore, or you're in stressful relationships or situations. All of that stress, all of these things contribute to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So typically it was associated with obesity and other metabolic syndrome diseases, but NAFLD is the buildup of fat around the liver. As you can see on the right-hand side, this liver has these fatty deposits, and over time it strains the proper ability for the liver to function. Okay, and so it's also connected to cardiovascular disease, because what happens is if our liver is not working properly, it's going to affect our heart or our cardiovascular system, causing cardiovascular disease. So you can see that they're two very interrelated issues. And so we work so closely at cleaning up that fatty liver with our telomega krill oil versus a fish oil. So Dr. Chris, would you like to add to this?
To reemphasize the liver function, like you said, it's cleaning the blood, transforming nutrient into energy, and the heart muscle is the one muscle that's has the greatest demand for energy. The metabolization of the fats that we're talking about here, the consumption of fats and how we convert them, and supporting the immune system. We often don't relate the liver to the immune system, so such a key organ, right?
It is. And, we talked about choline, and you saw choline as an important nutrient that's needed. And so the consumption of choline and liver function are also very interrelated. So with telomega, when we look at what choline does, it contributes to the normal liver function, and it also contributes to normal fat metabolism. So breaking down those bad fats. And so it can pull those bad fats away from the liver, into the cell, out of the bloodstream, back out of the body. So it's so important to be able to clean up all of those stressors that are affecting the function of our liver.
This next slide is a shocking statistic, and we know that cardiovascular disease is the number one killer in the world, but it relates to 32% of all global deaths are related to cardiovascular disease. So that's 18 million deaths annually. And one of the major risk factors is the high triglycerides, and this is primarily our diet of processed foods, overconsumption of carbohydrates, sweets, sugars, or bad carbohydrates. And when you know that taking krill helps to significantly reduce triglyceride levels, so it really impacts heart health. It's clinically proven to increase the omega-3 index, meaning that the omega-3 becomes more bioavailable. And as Dr. Tina actually mentioned this earlier, about 4 to 8%. And so it'll reduce heart disease by about 30%. So that's a major reduction. So anything that can do that and not be a drug is really powerful. So, and there's no increase of the LDL cholesterol, the one that the physicians go after, that is a major cause of blocking our arteries and causing cardiovascular disease. So reduced triglycerides and no increase in the LDL cholesterol levels. Dr. Tina.
Absolutely phenomenal. And again, mentioning these can all be reversed, the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, cardiovascular issues, with dietary changes and taking our nutrients. And again, you mentioned the high triglycerides or the fats is a major risk factor for all of these inflammatory conditions, not only the high glycerides, creating the plaque and the buildup, but long-term, this can cause pancreatitis, which is inflammation of the pancreas. And our telomega, we actually have clinical studies that show how it can reduce inflammation in the body. So the other thing that's really important that we didn't really emphasize today is that exercise is also really important to integrate into your daily lifestyle. So when we're looking at, some of the dietary changes, removing some of the sugars, the bad fats, those processed foods, along with, increasing your telomega, taking your Telo Youth, exercising, getting that good water, hydration, again, you can help the body reverse some of those imbalances that are showing up, like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and cardiovascular disease.
Here, just a quick review on one of the most highly prescribed medications are statin medications. And they play a key role in individuals that have heart disease or prevalence for stroke. So they're important as a medication, but they're overprescribed from the standpoint that we really can prevent the condition that the statins are provided for. And one of those ways to prevent it is there's strong evidence that choline has the ability to impact this buildup of the statins. So this is why we say it contributes to normal liver function and contributes to normal fat metabolism. So both of these claims have been thoroughly studied, and they're really the foundation behind the beginnings of the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So the choline works synergistically with the omega-3 and has a dualistic effect on the heart and the liver. So we just wanted to show you how our culture is looking for the dealing with the symptom and taking the medication, the statin medication, but we're helping you understand what the underlying cause is and how you can deal with that underlying cause with our Telo-Omega. Dr. Tina.
Incredible. Great information. Thank you.
And here again, we're just showing the full range of how the Telo-Omega can support the heart, the liver, good for the joints, the brain, the eyes, good for the skin. Really facilitates greater activity, physical stress, so supports sports performance. And one of the things that we haven't emphasized too much, but mentioned that the third component to the krill oil found with Telo-Omega is the astaxanthin. And guess what the astaxanthin does? It's good for your eyes, good for your athletic performance, good for cardiovascular support, cognitive clarity, unmatched antioxidant power, far surpassing vitamin C and vitamin E as an antioxidant. So there's this redundancy of what the omega-3s are doing and the astaxanthins doing and the cholin's doing, but we want that redundancy. We want multiple approaches to the stressors that bring us down that really affect the liver and the heart specifically that we're addressing today. So you see the multidimensional benefits with this formula. And again, we see these same kind of results with our Telo-Youth, Dr. Tina. So taking the two together is just such a powerful foundation for maintaining our health and dealing with the number one conditions that are facing our culture today.
Our Telo-Omega is like taking 4 supplements in one because of all 4 of these areas that, the different nutrients that it has. And it's natural. All of it is naturally there, which makes it even more bioavailable, and the body could recognize it and utilize it. So how do you take it? If you are looking to get started, you want to make sure you start with at least 4 capsules a day. And the reason being is because you are probably deficient in some of those nutrients that we talked about. And you might have some fatty buildup around the liver. You might have some cardiovascular challenges or some, congestion happening in the arteries. So 4-a-day minimum when you get started, and that you can split that up 2 and 2. Take it with a meal. But if you do know you're dealing with some kind of an imbalance, increase it to a minimum of 8 capsules a day, taking 4 at one meal and 4 at a second meal. And you can do this fairly long term, a good 6 months to a year, depending on what issues you're dealing with. Some people do take even a little bit more, but remember, everyone is going to be a little bit different. And when you take your krill oil or your telomega, you do not need a fish oil. As a matter of fact, when we're talking about fish oil, the gallbladder needs to process that fish oil, and some people don't have a gallbladder, or they have a very challenging fats metabolism. And so when you start to take your telomega, you'll notice that there's no belching, no burping. Even if you don't have a gallbladder, you'll be able to utilize it more efficiently because of the bioavailability of the krill oil. So when you feel like you've hit that nice plateau where you're in balance, you have enough in your bloodstream, you can always reduce back to 4 capsules a day. And the reason being is that, this is an essential fatty acid. Your body's not going to make it. So you need to get those in your body in a healthy way with our telomega on a daily basis.